What's going on YouTube? Happy Sunday. It's your girl Vanity V. Hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. I want to talk to y'all about something a little different, so roll with me. But this show has been so good, y'all, that I was like, I've got to talk to my YouTube family about it. What show is that? Squid Games, the challenge, okay? Let's get into it. So, if you've been, and hopefully you haven't been living under a rock. I know this is not everybody's favorite genre or whatever, but Squid Games, the challenge, and Squid Games, the original series, they are both Netflix shows, okay? And I'm surprised that I love it so much, as I normally don't like shows like this. I'm not like a game show type of person, but just to give you guys some background, the original Squid Games is a show that is based in Asia, and Netflix bought it, I believe, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And it was a series, what it maybe had 10 to 12 episodes, where you had a boatload of people that were competing, right, for a certain amount of money. And in the original series, obviously, the people, when they got eliminated, and this is a spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen the original Squid Games by this time, I don't know what to tell you. But in the original series, the people, when they got eliminated, were murdered, killed, terminated, whatever you want to call it. They met their fate, okay? And then you ended up with one person standing, right? So in the Squid Game Challenge, which is the reality show that just hit Netflix recently that everybody's talking about, they start with 456 people. Yes. They started with 456 people, y'all. And the goal is to ultimately end, and they did end with one person standing who would win $4.56 million. Now, I don't know about y'all. I watch Big Brother. I do like Big Brother. I'm not big on Survivor, but shows like that, when you see the MTV Challenge, they don't have no jackpot like that. Like, this is real, for real money. However, these challenges are based off of the original series. Okay, so I want to kind of get into it. So, like I said, I'm gonna jump out there and say this: Squid Games, the challenge, this reality show, is the best show on TV. Hands down. I can't believe it. I have been in a chokehold all weekend. Like, I'm getting ready to go to brunch, but I don't really want to go because I want to stay and watch the show. Because I have like 30 seconds left, or excuse me, 30 minutes left on the last episode. But I just had to come and talk to you guys and tell you how good the show is. So, like I said, you start with 456 people. So each episode, and now, like, once we get into the nuts and bolts, into some of the later episodes, some of these episodes, you're having more than one challenge per episode. So you're doing things like, the childhood game, like red light, green light, and you have to play that game. There's music that's playing for a certain amount of time, like maybe 10 to 15 seconds, and you have a certain amount of time to get from point A to point B. When the music stops, you have to stop. This is an example of the type of game. And when the music stops, if anybody's caught moving, they're eliminated, right? So those are examples of games that you have to play. Another really big game that they played in the challenge, that they also played in the series, was the game where you had to remove a cookie from a certain shape using a needle. You obviously had a time limit, and if you cracked or broke the cookie when you were doing it, you're eliminated. So not only do you have these different challenges and games that you have to play, right? There's games that they're all living in a huge, like, warehouse type of, establishment where there's bunk beds everywhere to, house all of these hundreds of people. And you are obviously making connections, making alliances, and then they test you in between the different games, right? So they might have, for instance, they brought a phone out, right? And again, these are spoilers. I'm trying not to spoil it so much, but I just want to tell you guys about, how good this show is. So, for instance, one of the times when they challenge people, they had a phone out. The phone rings. You can answer it or not. Now, if you answer it, it could be a punishment or it could be a reward, but you don't know. And so, they had one of the guys, he was answering the phone or whatever, and he got a little too greedy. The first time he answered the phone, he got a reward, right? Then he was like, okay, the phone rang again, and everyone's scared. They don't know should I answer the phone? Should I not answer the phone? Because we don't know what's on the other side of the phone. The same guy answers the phone, y'all, and then on the other side of the line, they're like, you have 2 minutes to either get someone to pick this phone up and talk to us, or you're eliminated. But it was like, he could have just taken his win. He didn't have to answer that phone twice, but he got greedy. You have people backstabbing each other. They might say, the first 5 people raise your hand to volunteer. And then those 5 people volunteer. And then, if you do, for instance, you volunteer, they might say, okay, now that you volunteer, you gotta pick 5 people that you want to eliminate. So the premise of the show is obviously the challenges, the main challenges. They challenge you, throughout the show in the dorm is what they call it. And then you also have to make alliances. Obviously, the better you have relationships with everybody, that in the event that someone gets the opportunity to eliminate someone, you've established relationships, so you're not going to get eliminated. Okay, so those are some of the things that happen in Squid Games. Let me say one of the things that I love about this challenge. I was so impressed because I've never seen a show so diverse. The producers of the show and the people who did the casting, y'all did a phenomenal job. You got a gang of black women, a whole bunch of black men, Asian people, you have people old, you have people young, Latino people, you have a mother-son duo, you have people who are hearing impaired. I mean, you have people who are doctors, lawyers, delivery truck drivers, some people from Africa, you have people from Asia, you have people from India, you have people from America. Like, I was just blown away by the level of diversity in this cast. And I think it's cool when you're working with 456 people that that allowed them to really dig deep into get the diversity that we usually lack with reality shows versus some of these reality shows that have 10 to 20 people, all of them are white. I love white people, but that's not the reality of the world. We want to see diversity because that makes things interesting. So kudos to the producers and everybody who was in casting, because y'all did a great job with that. Another thing that I loved about this series was not only did we get like suspense, I mean the backstabbing, y'all, that went into this show. Some of the ways that they, curved us and surprised us and like forced the players to backstab each other or put the players in compromising positions to where it's like, okay, now you have to make a choice. It's either you or your best friend type of thing. Like, that's the time. And we had that in the series as well. If you watch the series, there was, you probably know specifically the challenge that I'm talking about, but it was obviously more suspenseful, and because this is real life, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was real life. Obviously, when you're in close quarters with someone I imagine they were there for at least a couple of weeks, day in and day out. You're showering together. Sometimes they had to wash dishes, clean up together. You're going to develop bonds between each other, and they had to do some cutthroat stuff. Like, I was blown away, but we got personal story. And I know this is going to sound crazy because it's 456 people, but we got personal story from almost everyone. At least a little tidbit about them, and obviously as people are, chopped off and cut off, you're going to start learning more and more about different people. But another thing that I was blown away by, you guys, is there's specific players, and once you start watching the show, you'll see. I would say there's about 10 to 20 players where, especially in the beginning, maybe the first 1 to 3 episodes, where like we learned a lot about them, and you either rooted for them or you hated them, but they evoke some type of emotion. And those were the players where I'm not gonna say all of them because some of those players do make it to the end, but some of them went early. I'll just say that, which I was surprised because a lot of times when you really get to even in reality shows or whatever, when they present a player to you like one of the main characters, they normally don't chop them off so quick. But that's the great thing about Squid Games. You don't know what's gonna happen. So the fact that it was so diverse, the fact that we really got to know a lot of the characters, of the fact that, I mean, the level of cutthroat that, and I watch Big Brother. If you watch Big Brother, if you're familiar with Big Brother, you know they get a little grimy in there too, because they have to do some, there's a lot of backstabbing. But this show, I like it because the backstabbing was like, you had to make a choice instantly versus like Big Brother where there's a lot of plotting and planning for weeks, sometimes months that go into it, versus this show, they were like, I'm gonna need you to make a decision. Do you want, cut your daddy off the show? You got 1 minute to decide. It's like, oh, damn. Like, so, but yeah, they blew me away. And the level of like action, it's action packed, you guys. Every episode, there's no filler episodes. Like every episode leaves you on a cliffhanger, which the nice thing with Netflix is that like there's really no cliffhanger because you have the opportunity to watch this, the next, if you're on episode 8, it's a cliffhanger. You can start episode 9 right away. But yeah, it was no filler episodes. They were constantly making you think like, damn, what's gonna happen? I like shows like that where you're constantly, on edge and you don't know what to happen. And then there are players where I was like, oh man, I'm really rooting for you. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but in episode 8, there's one player, when he had to go, my little heart was broken, y'all. I was like, because you know how bad the person's been working hard, for it. And he was set up. I'm not going to spoil all of that. But yeah, I had to come and talk to you guys about Squid Games, the challenge. And I think it's super dope that the person who wins, unfortunately, I feel like the blog's already spoiled. Don't go searching. If you want to watch it, don't go Googling. But the blog's already kind of released who won, so we know who won. But just to know that person has won this amount of money is like really, really cool. Like, I feel like that's a show that I would want to go on just because obviously there's so much money, but it's so exciting. So, but yes, Squid Games, the challenge on Netflix is the best show out right now. Do yourself a favor. It's going to be so good. Make sure you have time to watch it because it's going to be so good that you're not going to want to stop watching it. That's how good it is. I haven't felt like this about a show in ever. Not like this. Like this show has really blown me away. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. I just wanted to do a quick review on the series. And hopefully you guys, I'm telling you, it's so good. Go and watch it. So hopefully if you guys are into the original Squid Games, if you're into the original Squid Games, you're going to love this. Because it's better than that, which is, crazy. And I'm fully confident that they're going to have a season 2. So they'll probably be casting soon for that. Because that's how good this show is. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.